Hello everyone, and welcome to Movie Nation, where we talk about the movies like it's a national pastime. I'm your host, Ken Reels, and welcome to the show. Today on the show, we are talking Captain Marvel, obviously. We're talking, isn't it romantic? We're talking about some of the news that went on this week. Our friend Jeff Snyder gave us a little glimpse into what we could expect for the Suicide Squad sequel. Also, Will Smith is exiting, and Idris Elba is taking his place. That's awkward. All that and more this week on the show. Welcome, guys, to the show. So, I'm going to start off with a little anecdote. And this is incredibly frustrating because I hate this. I really do. It's super gross, but it just boggles my mind how the hell this happened. So I go to the bathroom in the theater, obviously, as I do. And I saw that there was piss on the top of the urinal. No joke. There was piss on top of the urinal. And it's not like it's the kids' urinal. Which would make perfect friggin' sense. No, it's the adult one. I'm sorry, what? How the hell does that happen? 1, why did it happen? And 2, how the hell did it happen? That's my question. And I'm not going to get an answer for it. But anyway, guys, welcome to the show. We've got a jam-packed show. As always, we are going to be talking Captain Marvel spoilers in the main topic, but we will do a Captain Marvel general discussion beforehand. So, if you want to skip Captain Marvel spoilers, that'll be in the main section after we do our news and our trailer of the week. What we will be doing is not talking about Captain Marvel first. What we are going to be talking about is the Rebel Wilson-led film, Isn't It Romantic? I went in this movie expecting, well, it to be a bad film. Honestly, it bombed at the box office. But oddly enough, I was surprised, especially given that I'm someone who's seen a good amount of romantic comedies. Whether it be seeing my mom watch them on TV or me just seeing them in general. But this film was funny. Legitimately funny. I got a real good chuckle out of this one. This had some interesting little jokes here and there, and a lot of them were poking fun at romantic comedies and the cliches of romantic comedies, and even referencing some of the more top-tier romantic comedies. Specifically, there's some references to Pretty Woman. There's a little bit of Wedding Singer in there. And there was another big one whose name is escaping me at the moment. But so the movie stars Rebel Wilson as a very good architect. She's an architect. She's just pushed her life, and the movie starts off with her mother telling her romantic comedies are farces. There's nothing that you should be idolizing about it. And she ends up being a curmudgeon. When it comes to the cliches of romantic comedies, and then she ends up hitting her head, and she ends up being trapped in a romantic comedy. And her brain is thinking, okay, obviously the only way to get out of this romantic comedy is for me to continue through the tropes of a romantic comedy. Obviously, I'm obviously the guy that I'm supposed to fall in love with is the pretty guy played by Liam Hemsworth, who in the reality, basically this film has two separate realities. There's the romantic comedy reality, and then there's the real world. The real world, and everyone in the cast plays like dual roles, with Rebel Wilson being like the only one that's the same. And to some extent, Adam Devine, who is in this film as the love interest. Spoilers. He's the love interest, and again, there's an obvious reason why he's in this film as the love interest, because he has great chemistry with Rebel Wilson, and obviously Rebel Wilson got a hold of the script and said, hey, dude, I got this great script, I want you to be in it with me. And that's essentially what happened, because it's also very obvious that this has some major Australian backing to it, because there's a lot of Australian actors in this film, oddly enough. Not only Rebel Wilson, but you have Liam Hemsworth, you have a what's her name, she's not Australian by she's not Australian technically, but she's grew up in Australia, who's playing the antagonist, you could say, somewhat, not really, it's weird, and she's a great Indian actress. She played the villain in the terrible Baywatch movie, but what are you gonna do? And she's great in this as well, but I think Liam Hemsworth liked playing up the machismo. Like I think he was kind of poking fun at his brother in a way. It feels like that when he's on screen, because he's got the nice beard, and he's just being suave as all hell, and saying the dumbest stuff, like super dumb. He was genuinely funny, and you kind of go like, okay, so both him and Chris have some pretty good comedic chops, kind of playing it off a bit, as it were. And this was really well done. Like, it was really well done. It was not only a good romantic comedy in just structure alone, but it was good at making fun of them at the same time. Like, that's really hard to do when you're literally the main structure of your story is something you're making fun of at the same time. That is an achievement in making them both feel good and balanced. It's just really, really well done. Like, I really, really thought that this was phenomenally well acted, well written, and the movie's short. Like, the movie is incredibly short. It's a very brisk, like, 90 minutes. It was just good. Like, if you know romantic comedies, you know exactly where the movie is technically headed, but it also subverts some of those tropes by saying, yeah, no, fuck that. That's stupid and lame. And it's a very empowering film. Like, it very much points out that, like, the ideas of the movies of classic romantic comedies were dumb. Like, they're dumb. They're really, really dumb. And I can't. There's nothing much more than I can say, but Isn't It Romantic is actually something worth going to see. It honestly is. And that leads us into our next film, our non-spoiler talk on Captain Marvel. Now, bear with me because there's a lot to talk about with this film. Captain Marvel, from my personal perspective, is really good. Like, I really enjoy this film. This film is really good. Probably in my top 5 solo outings in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, easily one of my top 5. Probably near the bottom of my top 5, but still. Like, this is a really good solo outing. And obviously you have Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Now, many people have said that they did not like her portrayal of Captain Marvel, and they thought this was probably the one casting choice that was bad. It was the first time that the MCU had a wrong casting choice. Personally, I think she was fine. I don't think she got enough of material in the script to really spread her wings as the character, and I think we'll see in Avengers Endgame where she actually will be fully realized, as it were. Like, I think she'll be fully realized in Endgame. But who the heck knows? I think overall this film is really good. There are some bits that were very MCU-esque. I think some of the portrayals and some of the twists that happen are very much MCU styled. And for those of you who can piece together what that means without me spoiling anything, there's a few like twists on what the comics are and what the MCU is. And some comic purists will not enjoy that. Some will say that it's terrible. Like, why would you do that? That's a terrible idea. Stop it. Just like, stop it. There's no reason why you should do that. But I honestly think that Captain Marvel is great. It's a great film. There's really not much more that you can really say because it's just good. It's just a good film. And I enjoyed it, and I'm probably gonna go see it again. Like, I honestly will probably go see it again because it was just so damn good. I love the action. I love the humor. Now, everyone was worried, like, the trailers didn't really give a good feel for what the film was. I think the last trailer really gave me a good taste of what this film could be. I think marketing wise, this film very much tried to hide a lot because a huge chunk of this film is major spoilers. Like, once you get past the half-hour mark of this film, it's spoiler central. Like, the first half hour of the film is really all we've seen trailer-wise, and a little bit of the final battle. Like, that's it. There's nothing. There is nothing in the actual trailers that isn't in that first half hour, and just like the bits where she's in space, that's near the end of the film, obviously. But like, that's it. There's nothing in the trailers that is super spoilery at all, which is great. That's great marketing wise, but it doesn't show really the major picture of the film. Like, that, there's not a lot that you see in this film that will really give you a vibe of what the full picture of the film is. And Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, great. I loved what they did with that. I loved his character. And if I continue with much of this discussion, I'm going to go into spoilers, which really is harsh. Like, it's something I don't want to go into, because if I want to go into any more of the character bits with Talos and that stuff, I'm going to end up going into spoilers. Nick Fury was great. We do see what happens to his eye. I'm not going to... And that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see what happens to his eye. And you really do see what happens to his eye in the movie. And also, the effects work. The effects work in this film was phenomenal. Nick Fury... Sam Jackson is in a huge chunk of this movie. Like, he is a main supporting character of this film, and for him to be completely done with this de-aging technology, that I believe it's ILM that has this that's been messing with this technology ever since Tron Legacy, and this de-aging tech has far progressed to phenomenal levels, because you can't really tell. Like, you just see you just see a young Sam Jackson on the screen. That's it. There's no jarringness to the de-aging of him at all. It is friggin' fantastic. It is one of the best pieces of effects work that ILM has done ever. Like, I'm not joking when I say that. When it's completely and utterly, you just see Sam Jackson. That's it. The effects are phenomenal. Same thing with Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson. Though Agent Coulson is barely in the movie. He has about 5-10 minutes tops of the film. But he is great. He is great for those 5-10 minutes. He does get a good little chuckle. The cat's great. The cat does have a couple of moments where he's obviously CG, but given what the cat is doing CG-wise, it makes sense that the cat's CG. But it was so good. It is phenomenal. And the question is, does Nick Fury still have... there's questions that come up at the end of it. And you start to question it. There are two post credits. Obviously in a Marvel film, one is literally directly pulled out of Endgame. Like, that scene is literally in, and we're gonna see that scene literally in Endgame. Same thing happened when leading into Captain America: Civil War. We saw a scene directly pulled from that at the end of Ant-Man. And then we have the second post-credit, which answers a little bit of a question of how the hell something happened, but overall it's not necessarily worth it if you're not super invested, or if you want to just if you really have to go to the bathroom or really leave. You're not going to miss anything by skipping the end the end credit scene. But overall, Captain Marvel is solid. It is a solid outing. I think it's a good double. If I were going with baseball terms, I think it's a solid double, possibly a triple, depending on who you talk to. I'm really satisfied with what Marvel brought to the table, especially with a character that is very, very female empowering. And given the fact that the environment I saw it in, I saw it with a good chunk of a female audience. And also, everyone's been talking about it. The opening Marvel logo giving tribute to Stan, that was great. Everyone in my theater just had a great round of applause because the man deserves it. The man definitely deserves it. And of course, there's always a Stan Lee cameo. If you didn't read what it is, it's a really nice nod. And it was great. Captain Marvel was great. I'm probably gonna go see it again. Honestly, it is definitely something that is cool to come out, especially right around International Women's Day. And this is a strong feminist movie, like flat out. This is very feminist in its representation, in its message. It is a female empowering film, and it makes a great message. And I kind of equate it to Black Panther, though I think the message as being a white male is a little weird. But given the message, I think it is a great outlook in what I think Marvel wants to do to continue kind of what Black Panther started, giving us a good superhero film with a decent message. And I think the message in Black Panther resonates a little more than Captain Marvel, but this is coming from a white male. And Black Panther is talking about a more black audience, and what it says to that audience is amazing. Even as a white male, like it doesn't resonate personally with me, but I can see what kind of impact that has. Captain Marvel, I can see what impact that can have. I'm not saying it will to everyone. I'm just saying it does have somewhat of a great impact with its message. Overall, Captain Marvel, great. I'm looking forward to seeing her in Endgame. I'm looking forward to Endgame, obviously, because Endgame is now less than a month away. Because Endgame comes out at the 26th. So we've got literally a month. It'll be a month from Friday. Which is it'll be about a month from Friday, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a month and a half. So in like it's getting close. We're getting close to Captain Marvel to appear in Avengers Endgame. Looking forward to that. Opening night, like, I'll probably see it twice. And look forward to the episode, because we're going all out on Endgame. I'm not gonna... It's no holds barred on that. Like, that Sunday, we're talking all Endgame. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be double featuring it with anything, because the way it's gonna be is like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I might double feature with Endgame. I might see something else that I miss in the coming weeks. But like, I'll go see Avengers Endgame at like a 7-8 o'clock show, then walk out of the theater, walk right back into Endgame, right back into another Endgame showing, because that's gonna be great. And I'm looking forward to when tickets go on sale, so I can just buy those tickets and get it out of my hair. But anyway, guys, now we're going to go ahead and go right into the news. Before we get into the big news about Suicide Squad's sequel, we've got a big writer acquisition, and that is that Brian K. Vaughan, the writer of Saga, is tapped to write Legendary's live-action Gundam movie. As part of his 3-year overall deal with Legendary, Brian K. Vaughan of Saga fame is set to write the screenplay for Gundam, the studio's planned live-action adaptation of the world-famous mecha series, co-produced with Japan's acclaimed animation and production studio Sunrise. Gundam aims to be the first time in the storied franchise's 40-year run that it will appear on the big screen in a live-action format. This was in conjunction with the response for Gundam appearing in Ready Player One last year. It basically Sunrise ended up starting shopping it around because of how much people were stoked to see Gundam on the big screen. So Sunrise was like, hey, that's a good way to make money. And so they have. So they will, obviously, because this is going to totally make a bunch of money. Just how much the final film is actually live action versus a computer-generated form of animation remains to be seen, as does the story of the first film itself, but Vaughn's attachment to the project gives it a bit of a boost. However, Vaughan also has a number of screenplays for big-budget pictures in the pending category of his filmography. The former Lost and Runaways writer and creator and developer of the TV adaptation Under the Dome has also been announced to be the screenwriter of the new Silver Surfer movie and the attempted 80s cartoon reboot feature film treatments of Mask and Visionaries. Then there's Vaughn's adaptation of his own comic series, Y: The Last Man, that has yet to head into production but aims to arrive on FX next year as a TV show. In other words, there are a lot of irons in Vaughn's fire, so it remains to be seen how quickly Gundam will get the go-ahead. Here's a little bit from the press release announced when they announced it last July. Legendary and Sunrise announced today at Anime Expo 2018 plans to co-produce the first ever live-action film version of Gundam based on Sunrise's massively popular mecha anime and science fiction media franchise. The billion-dollar property is created in 1979 and has spawned a multi-platform universe encompassing TV, anime, manga, animated films, video games, plastic models, toys, and novels, among other media. Gundam continues to dominate master toy licensee Bandai Namco's earnings almost 40 years after its inception. The original Gundam series is set in the Universal Century, an era in which humanity's growing population has led people to emigrate to space colonies. Eventually, the people living in the colonies seek their autonomy and launch a war of independence against the people living on Earth. Though the tragedies and discord arise from this human conflict, not only the maturation of the main character, but also the intentions of enemies and the surrounding people are sensitively depicted. The battles in the story, in which the characters pilot robots known as mobile suits, are widely popular. The story of the live-action version of Gundam is kept under wraps. Project will be overseen by Cale Boiter on behalf of Legendary with the Sunrise creative team. So, yeah. Overall, I mean, cool. I'm not very well versed in Gundam, as it were, because, god damn it, that's a pain in the ass to go through and just kind of figure out what's what when it comes to Gundam. But overall, cool. We got a pretty decent writer on as your writer for at least the first iterative script. I'm sure this film isn't even close to production. I think at the very minimum, if the script is finished by the end of this year, we're not going to see this until 2021, 2022. And if the script takes longer, probably add another year and a half to that. So that leads us into the big news topic of the week, and that is that Idris Elba is talked to replace Will Smith in James Gunn's Suicide Squad sequel. Earlier this week, it came out that Will Smith will not be reprising his role as Deadshot in Suicide Squad's sequel titled The Suicide Squad from James Gunn. James Gunn won't be making the leap from Marvel to DC alone. THR reports that Thor franchise star Idris Elba is in talks to replace Will Smith in Warner Brothers' upcoming Suicide Squad sequel, on the heels of the news that Smith would not return as Deadshot in the follow-up to David Ayer's 2016 anti-hero team-up film. According to the report, Elba is the first and only choice for Gunn and the studio, and met with filmmakers on Friday. That meeting went well, and the actor is now in talks with the studio. Will's been moving fast on the sequel ever since Gunn signed on to write and direct in October, with the filmmaker quickly turning around drafts of the script and already moving into the casting phase. It's a refreshing change of pace for the project, which has been in flux since it was announced, with a number of writers, directors passing through along the way. Most recently, the Accountant and Warrior director Gavin O'Connor was attached, with writers David Barr-Katz and Todd Stashwick later coming to help with the script. That version of the project reportedly fell apart because the story was nearly identical to Birds of Prey, and O'Connor dropped off the project when the Harley Quinn-centric film was given the green light first. Gunn's version of the script is reportedly something of a soft reboot, which will mostly feature DC characters that were not featured in the first film. Major players like Deadshot and Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn are expected to return, though THR notes that hearing conflicting reports on whether Rick Flag, Joel Kinnaman's character, remains in the sequel. The film is heading towards an August 6, 2021 release date. So no doubt we'll learn more details in the future as it continues casting. Elba is coming off his run as Heimdall in the MCU, which he likely wrapped up in Infinity War. The Molly's Game star already has another major blockbuster on the books this year. He's joining the Fast and Furious family as the villain in the Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham-led spin-off Hobbs and Shaw, which lands in theaters on August 2nd. Later this year, he'll also appear as McCavity in Tom Hooper's film adaptation of the Broadway sensation Cats. Oh, that's interesting. I'll be honest. Tom Hooper's Cats is when we finally see a trailer for this. Who the heck knows when we'll see a trailer for it, because it's supposedly coming out opposite Star Wars Episode 9. That's a bad move on their part. But yeah, Idris Elba replacing Will Smith. Okay, I can see that. I can see Idris bringing a very similar feel to Will Smith. I think with James Gunn's writing, this will be a much better take, as it were. I didn't hate Suicide Squad for the most part. I think it has some flaws, especially in its representation of the Joker, but Suicide Squad is a mess. It's a mess of a film that got edited to shit. It was a mess. It was a mess in the editing room. It was not the film that was originally intended to come to us on the big screen. Overall, when it comes to the DCEU's mess of films, when it comes to Batman vs. Superman, which I personally enjoyed both versions of, I think Suicide Squad is a little more of a mess than one would say Batman vs. Superman was. And the one thing I will say about Suicide Squad was Will Smith was not bad in Suicide Squad. He wasn't the fault of Suicide Squad. I think the fault of Suicide Squad was its abysmal editing. But there was a good film that could have been made. It just was mutilated to shit. So that leads directly into our next bit, which is from our buddy from last week, Jeff Snyder. Suicide Squad 2 exclusive. Meet the new characters James Gunn will introduce in the sequel. This is, of course, from our buddy Jeff Snyder, and he is giving us a rundown of the new cast in Suicide Squad. Not only is Harley, obviously, with Idris Elba replacing Will Smith as Deadshot, it's now time for director James Gunn to turn his attention to filling out the rest of the ensemble. And while we haven't heard any names except the obvious one below, we have learned which characters are expected to comprise the rest of the squad. A rewrite could, of course, change things, so keep in mind none of this is confirmed. It's just from what we're hearing from sources. Let's dive in, shall we? So the first one is Ratcatcher, aka Otis Flanagan, is a man in the DC Comics, though Collider has learned that the character will be gender swapped and played by a woman in the Suicide Squad, which is the name of the sequel. Ratcatcher is a super criminal and one of Batman's many enemies. She started as an exterminator in Gotham City before turning to a life of crime, aided by an army of small rodents she can communicate with and control. She's also a fan of poisonous gas. Hint, hint. And then we have King Shark. King Shark is a prominent member of Suicide Squad. If you've seen the for those of you who haven't seen the Suicide Squad animated films, King Shark is a prominent member in those films. Nuade, aka King Shark, is a supervillain and humanoid shark whose father is believed to be the so-called shark god, though others dismiss him merely as a savage mutation. And then we have Polkadot Man. I'm not joking. Polkadot Man is going to be in the Suicide Squad sequel. Polkadot Man, aka Mr. Polkadot, is a Gotham City supervillain and, like Ratcatcher, is a sworn enemy of Batman. He grows multicolored polka dots on his body that he can turn into fireballs and other weapons, even though, for the most part, he's embarrassed about his awkward abilities. Polkadot Man. That is one of the goofiest Batman villains, and I'm kind of digging that, bringing that kind of into the fold. Because you have Polkadot Man and Ratcatcher, two of the weirder Batman villains. And you can immediately tell, like, this is going to be a lot goofier than some of the previous DCEU films. 100%. And then we have Peacemaker, aka Christopher Smith, is an agent of peace whose motives are driven by an extremist form of pacifism that makes him love peace so much he would kill for it. Interesting enough, Peacemaker is a role that sources say Gunn likes for Dave Bautista, the Guardians of the Galaxy star who defended the director when he was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 by Disney chiefs Bob Iger and Alan Horn. It's a funny coincidence given that Bautista tried to play Peacemaker sort of throughout that entire situation, and it's no surprise that Gunn is eager to reward the actor for his unwavering loyalty. Meanwhile, sources say that the new squad script positions Deadshot as a surrogate father of sorts to Ratcatcher, though the role remains open to actresses of all nationalities and ethnicities. There are a few other loose ends to tie up regarding the sequel. Will Margot Robbie reprise her role as Harley Quinn? You'd like that the actress would be You'd think she'd be under contract to return, and that Gunn would love to write for that character. So as of now, I think she'll return, albeit in a limited capacity. Meanwhile, in its story about Elba, The Hollywood Reporter says its sources are conflicted about whether Joel Kinnaman's squad leader Rick Flag will return for the sequel. I have no idea where things stand on that front. And finally, I haven't heard anything about Viola Davis and her Amanda Waller character returning. I thought she'd be back for sure, but it's been awfully quiet out there as far as her participation is concerned. Wonder what gives. We should get some clarity soon from Gunn and DC Films chief Walter Hamada, as Warner Brothers is slated to release The Suicide Squad in 2021. The first film, directed by David Ayer, grossed $747 million worldwide and is reviled by critics to a tune of 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is also an Oscar-winning movie. I'm not joking. So we have a little look at the comics version of King Shark, the comics version of Polkadot Man, and the comics version of Ratcatcher. Interesting. This is an interesting group of characters to add to the Suicide Squad. I'm interested in seeing... I would love to see Captain Boomerang come back, to be honest. I would love to see Captain Boomerang to come back, because honestly, Captain Boomerang is awesome. Captain Boomerang is one of the better characters in Suicide Squad, and probably the best role Jai Courtney has ever done. Like, people shoved Jai Courtney down, like, Hollywood tried to shove Jai Courtney down our throats, and him being a part of a Suicide Squad sequel, I would totally dig. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, the speculation that he might or might not be part of it, even Viola Davis not being a part of it. I think Viola Davis should be a part of it. I mean, it's friggin' Amanda Waller. And when it comes to Suicide Squad, I don't think her version of Amanda Waller was at fault. But overall, like, I'm really looking forward to what Suicide Squad can bring to the table. And now that brings us into, whoops, that's not what I want. I want this. That is our trailer of the week, which is the technically second trailer. I call it the first trailer because the first one was the trailer one was essentially a stupid teaser, which is why we didn't really talk about it on the show. But this is the first full trailer for Tolkien, and it is the biopic of J.R.R. Tolkien, writer of Lord of the Rings. And we have Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins. I love the both of them. Lily Collins being probably on my list of one of the most amazing actresses, because her eyebrows are phenomenal. Like, when it comes to people, like, I love Lily Collins' huge eyebrows. It is very attractive to me. That's just me personally. And then we have all these flashbacks. I think generally what this film is going to do is mess with the idea of time, because we're gonna get a lot of flashbacks of Tolkien as a young kid, and then we get flash forwards, we get flashbacks. I think this film structurally is gonna play with time a bit. I'm obviously looking forward to going to see this, even if I have to hunt it down and see it in a smaller venue. But I think Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins as the love interest, this could be really good. And I'm really kind of looking forward to what this could do, and kind of what would be interesting to tell, just in terms of how it could tell a story of J.R.R. Tolkien. As I'm interested. I'm really interested in what Tolkien could do. What a adaptation of Tolkien's life could do. He's a very interesting cat. He was fascinated with language, and and of course in the trailer, Tolkien also, like, the trailer starts off with him talking about how he loves language and the fact that he made his own language, and he also made myths in this universe where this language exists. And like, Tolkien as a human being is fascinating. He's a fascinating person, and I'm looking very much forward to what he could do overall. I'm super interested in what this film could bring. And that leads us into our main topic, which is more Captain Marvel. We're talking more Captain Marvel. That's right. That's right. More Captain Marvel, which is, of course, our spoiler discussion on Captain Marvel, because of course we're going to spoil Captain Marvel. So at this point, we are in spoiler territory. Warning, spoilers. This is what's happening. No joke. Full on spoilers. We'll be going full head first into them. And so, Captain Marvel. As I said, I love this movie. I love it so much. This is a really, really, really good film. Spoilers. Skrulls aren't evil! Skrulls are the good guys, and the Kree are the bad guys. That is awesome. I love it. I actually personally love this little twist. I'm also someone that thought the Mandarin twist in Iron Man 3 was funny and good. I didn't hate it. I wasn't mad at the Mandarin twist, and I wasn't mad at this Skrull twist either. Especially because Ben Mendelsohn was able to kind of extend his chops, as it were, as an actor, and he nailed it. He nailed it so hard. And I loved this. I loved Ben Mendelsohn's performance. He was great. There were some great jokes that he did. There's a bit. One of my favorite jokes was where he was just like, where he reacted to Goose the cat, aka Goose is a Flargon. For those of you who don't know, Flargons are basically tentacle creatures. They open their mouths and they go, and they have pocket dimensions in their stomachs, so they can swallow shit, and it's hilarious. And they play that to some great effect. And spoilers, what happened to Nick Fury's eye is Goose the cat scratched his eye out. And that is really goofy, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that the whole buildup of Nick Fury's eye, because he's just like, the last time I trust someone, I lost an eye, and he trusted a cat. He trusted a cat, and that is goofy as hell, and for it to play it as a joke, I can see why people would get mad over that. Don't get me wrong, I can see why people would get mad over the fact that, oh, Sam Jackson's eye being scratched out by a cat, and that's how he loses his eye. That's a little goofy. And I was just like, wait, what? When I was in the screening, I was just like, wait, what? That's how he gets his eye scratched out? That's kind of lame. That's pretty lame. But come but thinking about it, and the idea that he's perpetually lying about it, like during the end of the movie where Coulson gives him this like whole thing of glass eyes, and he's just like, so the reason you lost the eye is because of the scroll. You wouldn't give any information to the scroll, right? That's totally true, right? And Sam Jackson just doesn't really confirm or deny it. And I think it was just building up the myth of Nick Fury, and I think that is really cool. I like that aspect of Nick Fury is just a regular human being. He just made such a myth behind himself that he's just hype. Like he brings the hype. And I think that element of it was really cool. And then the second element was that Annette Bening's character is actually Mar-Vell. Okay, that is really going to ruffle some feathers. Little less than the Skrull twist, but I think ruffling the feathers with Mar-Vell being a female character when it's a predominantly male character will 100% ruffle some feathers. And the whole misdirection that, Jude Law was going to be was Mar-Vell, would have, I think that was just speculation on the part of people. Like, some people were just expecting Mar-Vell to be a man. And again, Marvel likes to subvert expectations when it comes to doing MCU stories, and I like it. I liked that Mar-Vell was a female. And the fact that, all right, the whole twist that, okay, so Jude Law's character is our bad guy. He's just flat out our bad guy. And the Supreme Intelligence, in a sense, is our bad guy. And Annette Bening, who actually kind of plays a dual role in this. She's both the Supreme Intelligence for most of the film, because that's how she appears, how the Supreme Intelligence appears to Carol Danvers, is really, really cool. And you get to see her kind of give you that sliminess. Like, she gives a slimy performance as the Supreme Intelligence, especially near the tail end of the film. And it's just like, okay. And then pointing out, like, okay, so who are the most powerful people in the MCU besides Captain Marvel? That would be Scarlet Witch, 100%, and Vision. Both Vision and Scarlet Witch were given powers through an Infinity Stone. Captain Marvel also gains her powers from the Infinity Stone. She gained her powers by shooting the Tesseract. The Tesseract appearing in this film was a cool little twist. When it showed up, I was just like, oh, shoot, the Tesseract. That's sick. And the whole idea is she ends up shooting the generator, the space interdimensional space engine. She shoots it with one of the Kree laser guns, and it explode, like the engine explodes out energy from that I assume Mar-Vell used to and harnessed from the Tesseract, and that gave her powers. That's what gave Captain Marvel her powers. So the Tesseract the Space Stone is what gave Captain Marvel her powers. So she has energy blasts and stuff like that, which begs the question, does the Space Stone give you energy blasts? Or can all the Infinity Stones to some extent give you energy blasts? Because we have the Mind Stone and the Space. Now we have the Mind Stone and the Space Stone both giving people the power of energy blasts. Vision gets the energy blasts with the Mind Stone, and Captain Marvel gets the photon blast through the Space Stone. So obviously Captain Marvel is super powerful. So we have three characters that are directly connected to Infinity Stones, and that's who we have as the three most powerful characters in the MCU. Makes sense. It's just 100% makes sense. And that's where it totally works. I think, and I do love the twist. I love the twist with the Skrulls, and after that first half hour, you're just like, because as a comic fan, you know, okay, Skrulls are the bad guys. Of course they are. And everyone was expecting this to set up a secret invasion plotline. Nope. No secret invasion plotline. Yeah. All that speculation of who's a Skrull, who isn't, out the friggin' window. And I think that was a great subversion of expectations when it came to Marvel. And I like having those subversions of expectations. I think Marvel totally deserves to subvert said expectations. I love this movie. This movie was great. And I love the empowering female message of just like, you, as a female, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You have to prove everything. You just have to prove to yourself that you can do something. And that's where you get your power from. Your power is through your own will. And that is great. And that is a great message. And the best way to deliver the message with this movie was the fact that Jude Law is just like, all right, let's fight mano a mano. You don't have to, you don't use your powers. We're just gonna fight mano a mano. I'm so proud of you. And she just blasts the shit out of him. And she's just like, I don't have to prove anything to you. I am who I am, and I don't have to prove that I'm stronger than you because I know I am. I know I'm stronger than you. I don't have to prove it to you that I'm stronger than you. And I think that is one of those moments where I was just like, yes. That is great. As I said before with the Stan Lee's cameo, obviously him reading the script for Mallrats, and the fact that they changed this post his death, but we see that Bree just gives Stan a little smile and lets him continue, and I think that was a great touch. That was a great touch and a very subtle way of giving us a look at giving us a nice little nod to Stan. And of course we will probably see him have a cameo in Endgame, and more than likely he will appear in Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm guessing that Spider-Man Far From Home will be the last Stan Lee cameo. Like, I honestly think it'll probably be the last Stan Lee cameo, which is fitting. it's fitting. He began his cameos with, I believe he began his cameos with Spider-Man, and to end it with Spider-Man is a very cool way to kind of close the book, as it were, on the Stan Lee cameos. I am interested to see what they do in the future when it comes to Marvel. I think people are expecting some kind of cameo going forward after Stan does his final cameo. And I think people have proposed that maybe Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool could show up. That would be funny. That'd be really funny. And it would be perfect for a character like Deadpool, but it'd be a little harder to write a cameo for, as it were. It'd be harder to just kind of piece that together, especially when supposedly the way the MCU is going to be going, it's going to be split into two different story plots. We have our space plot and our Earth plot. But overall, like, I love Captain Marvel. I'm looking forward to seeing her in Endgame. Brie Larson, in a spoiler fashion, like, I think she shows exactly the right amount of emotion. And she's just a very she's a good character. She's a fun-loving character, and I think people were expecting a very different kind of portrayal of this character. And I think Brie played the elements of I have no idea who I am, and then at the end we do see who she is, and we kind of go, okay, it took a bit for her to fully find herself, but she's a character that will always, no matter how many times you knock her down, she'll always get up again and try again. She's just stubborn like that, and I like that element of it. I really do dig that element of Captain Marvel. And it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie, in my opinion. I know Captain Marvel has middling reviews so far. If I pull up Rotten Tomatoes, Captain Marvel is still at 80%. Like, it's still a solid 80%. With 350 critical reviews, and the audience is just under 60. 57% of people liked it, and that is after the purge of thousands and thousands of user reviews, which flooded, I repeat, flooded the area. And like, overall, like, Captain Marvel, I dug Captain Marvel. I'm looking forward to Endgame. Let's bring it on. And with that, guys, that is going to be it. So thank you, guys. You can follow me at Ken Reels on Twitter. Follow Movie Nation at Movie Nation Pod. Movie-nation.com is where you can find the links to the audio cast. And with that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to Movie Nation.
Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
You can like us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Movie Nation Podcast, or follow us on Twitter at Movie Nation Pod.
Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you.
If that's so, and you would like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, you can do so at the respective socials, or send us an email, movienation@hotmail.com. That's movienation@hotmail.com. Or you can do so on our episode post over at movie-nation.com. That's movie-nation.com.
And tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
And you have the freedom to listen to us next time.
Is looking at you, kid.